Yeah. Today's video is about the run up to taking possession of my Casita Spirit Deluxe. Because it was a long wait. It was 8 months. I ordered it in near the end of the summer in 2020, and didn't get it till springtime. It was 8 months. They give you a date certain on when you can pick it up or have it delivered, because they do have that option if you want to pay for delivery. I don't live that far from the factory, so for me it was an easy call. But they give you a date and a time, so and you have to let them know a certain amount ahead of time if that isn't going to work out. But if you live out of state or a long way off, it's a good thing, because that's a hard date, and they hold to it. And you can do all your prep work if you're traveling from out of state to pick it up, and you'll have a good while to get ready. So anyway, I started looking at casitas a couple of years prior to that, and that was what I came up with. I don't need to go into the reasons why, but there were quite a few. And so I started getting really excited about it last summer. We're now in September of 2021, and I've had the camper for a few months. Everything's worked. It works great. Completely happy with it. But I had some regrets during the waiting period. I knew what all the four various layouts were, and anybody that's been interested in casitas or has one or has been on the Casita travel trailer site is familiar with the layout options. Let's assume, for simplicity, that a bathroom is included. So if you get a bathroom, your model will be called Spirit Deluxe, Independence Deluxe, Liberty Deluxe, Freedom Deluxe, and if not, then it just won't have that word deluxe attached. So I started having regrets after a couple of months about choosing the Spirit. The thing with the Spirit is that you have this option, kind of. There's this big dining table in the back. You have the dinette up front. In a Spirit, you have two bench seats opposite each other. And you kind of go through this thing. Well, do I want to set the bed up permanently? That's what most people do. Or, if it's going to be occasional camping, am I going to be happy breaking it down and setting it up every night so that during the daytime I can have a table there and a place to sit? As time went on and COVID got more established, my wife had some days off for a week or two, some COVID related event where she worked. And I kept telling her during those days off, why don't you go down to the Casita factory and look at the trailer? Because she was not there when I ordered it. I'd shown her pictures and all that. She thought it was, cool and all that. What I didn't really completely realize at the time was she wasn't as excited about it as I was, but that was fine. I knew that going in, and was willing to and wanted to get a casita, whether she was going to be involved or not. She's a few years younger than me, still working strong and all that, and she likes it. And for me, I'm in a semi-retirement situation, and she doesn't have any problem with me taking trips for a few days at a time, because I really want to get out there and move around and experience some different things. So I took some notes here so I can kind of keep my train of thought, because I have trouble doing that sometimes. I jump around a lot. So she went down to the factory one day, and she came back, and there were really only two things I didn't get as far as options. One of them was the microwave, because I want a cabinet space there. It's a big cavity there where the microwave goes, and if you get the microwave from Casita, it totally takes up the opening, everything. It's nice and all that, but I didn't feel like I was really going to use it, and I wanted the space. And the other thing I didn't get was the furnace. For better or worse, seemed like it was going to be a propane hog, and not be something the way I wanted to go. I figured I could use auxiliary heat sources, and that's what I intend to do. So when she came back, she said, "Oh, I think you should get the microwave, because you don't make the final decision until the closing weeks of delivery time. You choose your options, but before you make the big payment, you have a chance to kind of tweak those. And I don't think you can change from a Spirit to a Freedom or an Independence, but you can change whether you want the microwave or not, the furnace, the awning, whatever. I believe you can do that." She said, "You ought to get the microwave." And I said, "Well, okay." But at the same time, she didn't seem all that excited. And I, would show her videos and ask her questions like, "Well, do you think..." And I had an opinion about all these things, but I wanted to hear hers and see where she was on it. "Do you think we ought to set the bed up permanently in the back? And if so, do we want to get a mattress? Do we want to, how do we want to deal with that? Because the cushions are going to be a problem for sleeping on a lot. The cushions alone are." And, "Oh, well, I think we should break it down every day," she said, not really knowing what the limited space of was going to be. And, I'm picturing myself, if we have a mattress pads, memory foam on top of the cushions, and we got the table in the down position, and, the cushions, dealing with that every night. And, it's, I didn't like the idea of having it set up all the time, and I damn sure didn't like the idea of dealing with it every night. And I started wishing that maybe we had got the Independence, because it has two single beds in lieu of just couches on either side. And I laid down on one at the Casita factory to see how much room was on one of those, and it was roomy. I liked it. I was able to lay down, and I'm 6 foot tall, 190 or so pounds, and I had room to spare. I had room to lay my arm next to me, arms, and even kind of spread out a little bit. Had a about 4 inches of extra room and length. It was going to be no problem. Of course, by then I'd already ordered the deluxe and everything, so there was no going back on that, or I didn't feel like I should. I just didn't. So, yeah, I had that regret for a while, and especially as it got, it got past Christmas and all that, and I'm just 2 or 3 or 4 months away from getting a trailer, and I'm realizing now it's open discussion now that she is not really going to be that big a part of this thing, and also that I was undecided about whether I was going to retire or whatever, and I was just going to, take trips for a few days at a time. If I was retired, maybe start writing again, and because I've done a bit of that in the past. And then it came up that I could continue working, do it from home. And I asked if it would be possible to set it up in my trailer as a mobile unit, so I could work on it. I could work it at home or on the road, and that's what ended up transpiring. So I'm started thinking more along the lines. Still a couple of months from getting the Casita, and I start thinking about the reality, and that is going to be most of the time I'm going to be the only one in here. I'm either going to be just sitting out here in the driveway working in this environment, which I love, and I don't need to be so concerned with a double bed setup in here and all that. But still, there's nothing like having the thing in front of you that you're thinking about, so you can play with the configuration of it and see what's possible. The other kind of regret I had for a short time was that I didn't get a Freedom Deluxe. That's the one with the swivel chairs, because they look nice, and they are nice. I've sat in one at the factory. I'm glad I didn't do that now. For me, even though I'm, for all intents and purposes, the only one out here, they impede the aisle a little bit. They stick out into the aisle, and in the spirit of all the other models, I guess. Well, not all the other models, because there's one, I believe, Heritage, where in lieu of the dinette up front, you get 2 bunk beds there. I was never going to go that way. I'm not dealing with children here. Mine are grown. But anyway, you lose the storage under the bench seats, which Spirit has. And so I, as much as I'd like to have the swivel seat, and now I realize I could still do it. I don't regret not getting the Freedom. And the other thing, just to close that out, with 2 people in one, I would not recommend the Freedom, because 2 people are not going to be able to walk past each other in this thing with those big chairs, and I think the bed layout is the same, and the Freedom is just like the Spirit. You can set it up all the way, or you can have the table up. So, by then I had well accepted the fact that I had a Spirit coming. I'm going to end this and pick it back up here in a minute.